Hey everybody, I thought I would chat with you guys a little bit about the back squat and why the back squat is so valuable for teaching us where our weak links are. So when it comes to this exercise, I say very frequently it is the king of exercises. It will put more potential muscle on you than just about any other movement. That it will put more athleticism on you, just in terms of increasing athletic ability. There's a reason so many top strength and conditioning coaches have people back squat. I know people will make arguments for front squats and other stuff, but honestly, they can be limited by, quite frankly, a lot of upper body stuff, depending upon the person. So I don't always agree with that. I feel like the back squat definitely has an easier learning curve. But the thing is, look, the back squat will put the most muscle on you, and it's because the primary movers are the biggest muscles in the body. What grows the most from squats? Quads and glutes, okay? It takes both through a full range of motion. So when that gets brought up and people say, well, what about the deadlift? But it doesn't take all those muscles, particularly the quads, which are the biggest muscle in the body, through a full range of motion. Now, I think combined together, they work phenomenally well. We could definitely make the case, at least some of the data out there, the only study that looked at hypertrophy found the deadlift made the upper body grow more than the squat. And total muscle, but that's in one study. And when it comes to, again, just that lower body size, the reason I say that with the squat is because it makes the biggest muscles grow, right? It's why something like a bench press or a chin up can't compete, because the muscles being worked are smaller muscles, therefore the net growth is less. Although I'll be the first to say that chin ups and bench press will put a ton of muscle on your upper body. And when I make these statements, I don't want people to think that I'm against isolation movements. You guys see me doing plenty of curls and laterals and rear delt work and all that stuff every single week these days. But yeah, big fan of the squat. The other thing with the squat, when it comes to, again, the athletic ability, is because it requires us to stabilize everything through the whole body. To be good at a squat and even coordinate a squat requires full body coordination. Okay, because we have to drop into a deep position. Our hips have to drop below our knee to correctly perform a squat. Absolutely has to do that. Otherwise, it's like a half squat. So we're having to drop into these deep positions to build these muscles that are really our power muscles that apply to almost any sport. But then we have to coordinate it. In other words, we have to stabilize it through the whole upper body. We need core stability. Okay, we need our abs to be strong, our obliques to be strong. If your low back is weak, it will start hurting big time on squats. Okay, if your hamstrings are weak, you're going to have problems with, again, stabilizing everything correctly. So the thing is with the squat, it's not just the fact that it works these primary movers, it's that it will find your stabilizers. It will find the weak ones. It will find if your hamstrings are weak. It will find if your quads are weak. It will find if your low back is weak. It'll find if your thoracic spine and upper back are weak, because you won't be able to maintain any sort of proper back extension, right? You'll start folding over at the top. If your low back is weak, it will start to give out on the squat. Okay? If your hamstrings are weak, you're going to have, again, some problems with proper alignment and stability. Now, if your quads are weak, you're going to have some major form issues. Glutes are weak. So the thing is, when you learn to squat and you step back and look at it, you'll find where you are weakest. If you have weak abs and you start trying to squat some real weight, you're not going to be able to stabilize it. You're not going to be able to keep your chest up correctly. You're not going to be able to maintain the proper stability. So it will find these things. And it will show you what you need to work, not just to work for hypertrophy and to look good. Because, man, a lot of that really does come from upper body. It really does, as far as what guys think of as aesthetics. Now, you can't disregard the lower body. But, our bodybuilding stuff isn't always going to bring out that, because we're not going to see those other weaknesses the same. But the squat will show you where you are weak at in terms of strength, in terms of athleticism. And I can assure you that if you do not have the abs to properly stabilize a heavy squat, do you think you really have the best abs to get in a fighting ring and take boxes, being hit in the stomach? Do you really think that you have strong enough abs to get out on a playing field? Play any other sport? Probably not. So that's what I mean. It will show you where you are weak It'll show you where you are weak. And it's not always pretty. Not always pretty when that happens. But it'll teach you these things. And then the same thing in terms of lower body development, the patterns that you see. If your quads are weak, you will see massive compensation. Okay, you'll see compensation. And you'll actually have a lot, it'll almost turn into sometimes into a good morning type squat more. Okay, if your glutes are weak, you'll see excessive knee valgus. And I don't mean knee valgus uses a technique. You're going to see caving automatically relative to what you're doing. If your upper back is weak, you're going to see it give out. If your abs are weak, you're not going to be able to maintain an upright position either. So it will show you where all this stuff is weak, and it'll show you what you need to bring up to be more athletic, to be stronger overall. So again, one of the many, many reasons I'm a big fan of this exercise. You know, and it's ironic because I do feel it brings a lot to the lower body, but I'm also, as a coach, I make those statements, but then it's funny because most of my strongest squatters do a lot of other lower body work. I actually am a big fan of using things like leg presses. Now, I use belt squats because I don't have a leg press. But I'm a big fan of, so some of my strongest squatters, of course, do leg presses as a supplement to their squat. And they actually end up doing more total reps per week on a leg press than they do on a squat, because we do other back work and stuff. But it's also because then we can double down on all those muscles involved and build up the primary movers. Okay, we'll build up the primary movers if everything else is up to snuff, but we're usually talking advanced lifters at that point. So then we spend a lot of time deadlifting and doing different good mornings and ab work and stuff. So their trunk muscles are strong. They're able to support it. And in that case, I don't have to just continue to put them under extremely heavy squats. So it's ironic because the exception of this is once you have a really, really ridiculously strong squat, as a coach, I'll tend to have you squat less, mainly because it's such a good exercise. But if you get really strong on it, you just can't recover. But for everyone else up to most advanced lifters, do tons of squats. They'll work wonders as long as you can handle it from a structural end and recover from it. But again, all around valuable tool. So yeah, I'm a massive fan of it for all these reasons. And I think particularly when it comes to athleticism and things like that, it can be extremely, extremely useful for this. So again, just determining where your weak links are. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.